What is up, everybody? This is Mason with the Next Guy Up podcast. I got Zach here.
What
Tinsley
up?
is taking PTO. He's currently in Asheville
Mhm,
watching all the
mhm.
football he can. But we have also done the same, and we're going to touch on as much football as possible that happened on Saturday and Sunday. Super pumped to go over that. How are we doing, Zach? How is everything?
Feel great. We had a lot of football happen, some exciting football yesterday. A lot of fun stuff, and we have some great news to report. Um, we are smarter than AI
It's
officially.
official.
AI is broken. AI turns out AI can do some stuff, but they can't sports bet like we can. We are successfully up 1-0 on the AI as far as completed parlays. Our parlay for the week and hit this morning. TJ Hawkinson, we had to sweat that one out.
Last
But
drive.
you got to account for stuff like that. That's this kind of stuff AI doesn't account for. Last minute,
uh,
the time zone differences, stuff like that.
it's
We
true.
put all that we factored it in.
We had as many receiving yards as Hawkinson did in the first half. So we had some ground to catch up on, and
Yep.
it came through clutch. Some of the legs of the parlay were easier than others. Uh, some were a
Yeah, shout out to
breeze.
South Carolina for my easiest bet that I've
It
made
was
this
pretty
season so
easy.
far.
Like, I think I was looking at halftime. I was like, oh, all right, moving on to the NFL game. Like, I was
Yeah,
not
felt
even
pretty
worrying.
good. Didn't even have to sweat that one out.
Which can also be bad when that happens, where you think you're fine, and then the other team comes back at just a most insane comeback ever. So,
True, that does
but
happen.
it didn't happen this time. So, speaking of betting, I wanted to start out with a crazy, and I would like to hear if Zach. I don't know if you really have any, and I wish Tinsley was on
Mm.
close parlays. DraftKings actually does they call it a ghost leg, where the amount of parlays that miss just by one leg. That's where thought I was at this point. So there's a boost for anytime touchdown. I believe I had 8 players. One of them was Jalen Warren, by the way, which a lot of memes were out there where it was like the guy squinting at his phone, and it was like you waking up with Jalen Warren in your lineup because he was pronounced out this morning. But anyways, I had him as one of but it was an 8 leg. Let me tell you the players. Judkins, which is the running back for the Browns, he cashed. Bucky Irving cashed. Drake May rushed to touchdown, cashed. Chris Olave cashed. Kyle Pitts cashed. A lot of those
Mm.
were big plus money. So I reached out to the boys through group text. I think I shared it before the Sunday even started, so they were all kind of keeping an eye on it. And it was $5 to pay out 29,000. Uh, you're not going to believe the leg that I had, which it's easy to say now looking back, but it was the tight end for the Titans, which we're not going to get into right now, the Titans offense, but or the Titans game. We'll save that for later. But I had him, and we were sweating it out. Cash out was $160, and they were both making some really good points. Was talking about, would you bet $168 on this guy to score a touchdown? I was like, they're making some good points. However, I have seen on Twitter where it's like the worst cash out I've ever seen in my life, and it's this guy or girl that cashes out for like $100, and if they didn't cash out, they would have cashed their $30,000 parlay.
Yep.
So I was over here freaking out. It didn't hit. And then I was like, of course, I'm going to miss this by one leg because I only had one more player left, Derrick Henry. And then he didn't even score. So then I feel a little bit
That
better
was fine.
missing it
Yeah,
by
you missed
two
about
legs.
2 legs. You're fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's fine. I would love to see what that cash out would have looked like if, we would have got down to the Derrick Henry leg.
I
But
feel like it would have been $6,000 or $7,000.
I would have took that probably in a heartbeat. Actually, I wouldn't have not, because I would have been like, Derrick Henry
Yeah, because
gets
they
to
were like,
score
"Oh
too.
yeah, this is fine."
He was like minus like 600 or minus 600, minus 160 to score a touchdown. Big
Mm.
favorite. So I would have probably been like, you know what? We're 20K away from, or 30K away from Derrick Henry's.
You probably
That's all
ride
we
that one
needed.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, probably. All right, so that was my fun little thing to kick us off here, but
Mm,
I'd like to, if anybody's got any, reach out to the next guy up somehow. Just find us on our socials or whatever and tell us if
yeah,
you have any
mail in.
TikTok and mail in. Yep.
Mason, give your address.
All right, real quick, it is. I'm just kidding. I don't want all the hate mail because somehow the guy that edits our TikToks always puts the my fraud of the week up, and it usually gets
Does
a lot
numbers.
of
You're a
comments.
controversial guy.
I wonder who does our TikTok content. Maybe he's
Yeah, I
not
never
here at the
pop
moment.
off. I guess my takes are just too reasonable for the internet. Everyone's like, that guy's boring.
Yeah, how many people have Michigan being fraud of the week after a win? Not too many people, which I got that right, so we
Mason
don't
is
have
the
to.
clickbait king.
That's what they call me.
Okay, well, we do have some categories that we like to walk through on these Monday episodes just to give us a framework to break down the weekend in football. Mason, are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Okay, first category. We
Okay.
have game of the week. Game
A
of the
lot of
week. A
I
lot of
know
fun
we need
games.
yeah, I was having trouble with this one because there was a lot of good games on. I thought about doing college and I was like, well, Zach's gonna cover some college, so I might as well throw in an NFL game. And I am gonna go with the Colts at the Rams. What a back and forth game. Of course, there were penalties and bonehead decisions that destroyed the Colts. There was a 53-yard touchdown by Jonathan Taylor that got called back because of a hold, and probably one of the worst plays I've seen in a while. We usually see this once every 5 years, I feel like, of a wide receiver or running back walking into the end zone and fumbling at the inch yard line into the back of the end zone. Um,
Mm,
Mitchell, wide receiver for the Colts, did that. Fumbling into the back of the end zone, literally had it, nobody around him, and just like let go of it early. So it's just a tough break. Puka Nakua catching the ball, a touchdown, 3 minutes left, and then them getting the ball back and scoring a 88-yard touchdown by Tutu Atwell with a minute 33. That basically summed up the game with a Daniel Jones pick at the very end of the game, giving the Colts their first loss of the season.
mm.
Tinsley would be calling them frauds right now if he was on the podcast. So,
It's
but
true.
that is my game of the week. Just a fun game, some crazy plays in there. So, Rams
That's a
and the
good one.
Colts. Yep.
Okay, my game of the week from the college football world
So let's
is
see what you say here.
it happened last night. We're gonna try. There's a lot of fun games yesterday,
You
but
could
I'm
throw out
going
a
to
couple.
pick. I could, and I'm going to try and mention most of the big ones. I think I'm picking Oregon Penn State here. This game
Mm,
was not the most entertaining game. It was a very defensive battle. First half ended at 3-3. This game, just everyone struggled to get into the end zone. It really felt just like people were just holding on a little bit. Both defenses playing well, both offenses struggling to kind of get going. It ended up 30-24 in double overtime. It ended on an interception by Thieneman from Oregon. Drew Aller looked pretty pedestrian in this one, I will say. A lot of Penn State fans are pretty upset at Drew Aller. I think the fact that Bo Perbula has looked so good so far from Missouri really makes
mm,
Penn State fans pretty upset. Dante Moore had an incredible day. He went 29 for 39, 248 yards, 3 touchdowns. You're going to take that all day. That's compared to Drew Aller, who went 14 for 25 for 137 yards, 2 touchdowns,
mm,
and the game sealing interception there in overtime. So Penn State's offense honestly didn't even belong on the field for most of the game until they had worked one drive that was pretty successful, and then these scores were inflated a little bit because of overtime. But I think it was something like 17-17 going into overtime, so it was very low scoring, not a lot going on there. There was a huge play of Oregon, a knee like barely skimmed the grass, and it kind of brought it
mm.
back from a huge Penn State play. because then Oregon scored like on the next play. So that was a huge turn of events. I mean, I think the refs probably got it right, but it's a big play. Fun game. Felt like a playoff type game in a very fun atmosphere in Happy Valley. So it's a very fun game of the week. I'm going to shout out some other big ones that happened against some very good teams, but that one really came down to it. It was a fun game, though.
Yeah, that
Oregon's playoff chances are like almost 100% now. Also,
are they really? What's the rest of their schedule look like? Is it
the
pretty?
only other team that I think they play Ohio State, and that's literally the rest of
Okay.
their schedule is garbage.
Yeah. Hmm.
Sorry if you're on Oregon's schedule, but I mean I can read it off for you if you're curious because it's pretty laughable to be honest with you. No, wait, they don't even play Ohio State. Listen to Oregon's schedule. I know you're not a huge college football guy, but
I wanna hear it.
their second biggest game of the year is next week. They play Indiana, who struggled against Iowa.
Mm.
But after that, they've got Rutgers, Wisconsin, Iowa, Minnesota, USC, Washington. That's it. They go to Washington. That's always a fun kind of rivalry game. Oregon,
I was gonna say
Washington
that's
is
probably the
rivalry.
biggest one.
And then they host Oregon next week, which or they host Indiana, which will be a big game as well. It's a top 10 matchup. But Indiana is kind of has a pretty big question mark after their performance this week, I think. So, all right. Next category, Mason. We have performance of the week.
I'm going to go NFL shocker alert.
Mm-hmm.
And this can be one that was a huge college football player. That would be one Ashton Genty. Finally had his breakthrough game. He's kind of looked subpar. Let's see, I think it was 128 rushing yards. I think I had to update it. Yeah, 128 rushing yards, 3 total touchdowns, which was all the touchdowns that the Raiders had. So basically the whole offense.
Pretty good.
And yeah, just looks like how he looked when he was in a Boise State uniform. So Ashton Genty is my player of the week.
Love that. I do like that he's had
138 rushing yards. Sorry. Wanted to correct that.
Wow. Touchdown merchant a little bit, huh? 3 touchdowns.
3 touchdowns. One rushing, the other 2 receiving. So he was a majority of their offense. Yeah.
Nice.
They had 24 points. He scored 21 of them. Kicker scored the other 3.
Tough. They lost to the Bears in a fun game, right?
Yeah, they did.
Okay, my performance of the week. This is me kind of trying to lump in a couple games in one category here. I'm going with overtime in general. Overtime had a huge week. There were 4 games with top 25 teams in them that went to overtime. That would be the aforementioned Oregon Penn State game. Also on Friday night, very fun game, Florida State Virginia. We have. Do we want to stop here and do a should I rush that?
Yes.
Field.
We've not done one in a couple of weeks. Should I rush that?
Should I rush that? Yeah. This is about, or should I storm that? Should I storm that? This is a category where we get to talk about whether or not we feel like the field should have been stormed or not. Florida State, Virginia. I'm going to say, sure, you can storm the field. I think that was acceptable. The way it happened, not acceptable. I'm very concerned about the future of field storming after this one. If someone had gotten seriously injured, that might be the last field storm we ever see. But I think everyone kind of came out clean. So shout out to Squirrel White, former volunteer. It was right in the thick of it. Virginia, if you didn't watch it, Virginia literally stormed the field like before. As soon as the play was dead, they stormed, and there's like no barrier between the students and the field. It's poverty program type stuff there in Virginia, but they just came straight onto the field and trampled everyone
there in seconds. Yeah,
even their own players. It was pretty scary, honestly. If you watch it, it's a wonder someone didn't get really, really hurt. And one of the players didn't. I think there were some students who got hurt.
There was, yes.
I mean, when you have 50,000 people sprinting onto the field or whatever,
yeah,
stupid.
It only takes one time for this to go horribly wrong, and I know we're probably the only podcast out there anti. I think it's just, and it was how that happened was what you said, but also I do want to point out one thing. There was like
Okay.
3 or 4 minutes left, and so Virginia had the ball, and they were going down the field, and everybody was getting ready to storm, and they were up, but then they went 3 and out, or maybe a couple drives, and then they had to punt it, and they gave time. There was still time left on the clock, so you cannot be getting ready to storm like that. Like they were that close to the end zone, ready to do it for
Yeah.
like probably an hour because they got ready so long, and then not that long, maybe 30 minutes or whatever. Because then they had the overtimes.
Yeah, they were up
Uh,
big at one point. They were up like
yeah, and
20
so
to
but they
3.
were getting
Yeah.
ready that early. You cannot predetermine. You cannot get that ready, and then Florida State had an amazing drive at the end to go down to tie that, and then it's like I was really hoping just for them to
Georgia
pull
Tech.
that off.
No, it was
Or I'm
Florida State.
sorry, do what?
No, wait. Oh, shoot. I'm thinking about different games. You were correct. I'm sorry. Florida State.
No, you're good. Okay.
Georgia
I was
Tech
like,
was
what did I just
another.
say?
I'm mixing my two games up. Um, Florida State was that one. Sorry.
Yes. No, you're
Thinking of the
good.
game Saturday.
They came down to force overtime, and then I was like rooting for them to beat them so that they could not, because they were getting so ready, like they had the game locked up, and I was like, you guys still have to convert a first down, and they didn't. So that's all I
Yep.
gotta say about that. But fun game. Let's hope that doesn't happen again, because we might be looking at the end of field storming. And we've gone over this with court storming in college basketball, where there has
Yep.
been injuries and players getting in
It's a much smaller area.
yeah. So
I
we'll
don't
see
have any
what happens.
problem with Virginia. Like I said, a little bit of a poverty program situation there. Storming the field against the top 10 team. That's totally fine with me, is how you did it. There was a second field storm this weekend.
This is the one you were
This
talking
was
about. Yeah.
USC
Okay.
at Illinois. Illinois kicks a game winner at the buzzer, and their fans storm the field. If I am, let me check what this line was before the game started. I'm pretty sure Illinois was favored in this game. Okay, USC was 1.5 point favorites going into the game. I really hate that field storm there by Illinois. You're the home team. You're ranked. Your ranking is very close to each other. This is not like I mean, USC sort of is a powerhouse, but not really lately. I think this was a very weak field storm. I think, should this field have been stormed? No.
No.
Illinois, act like you've been there a little bit. You got stomped last week by Indiana. I know you feel glad about your win here, but this was not the team to storm the field against. I'm sorry.
Okay.
A 23 ranked team beating a 21 ranked team. You cannot storm the field in that situation. I'm sorry. That's horrible.
Pretty bad. You brought up Georgia Tech earlier. They won in overtime. You actually took them
Okay.
live to. Was that
Yes.
also a storm? Okay. Were
That
you
was
going to bring
not a
that one up?
field storm.
Okay. That's the one
Georgia
that
Tech was on
we
the
were
road.
watching. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, let's wrap up this. So that was a little bit of an aside there about should that field have been stormed. We're workshopping the name of that segment. I kind of like should I storm that, but
I like that.
it's a
But
spin off our other segment. Should I watch that we do about movies and TV? So in conclusion, Illinois, you should not have stormed that. So there were two other overtime games that happened. It was Florida State, Virginia, Oregon State, Oregon, Penn State, and then you had Tennessee, Mississippi State. A very fun game at Mississippi State, a very fun atmosphere, even though there's lots of cowbells, which I'm still convinced should not be allowed. That game came down to the very last bit. It ended in the first overtime whenever pass was broken up. So that was a very fun overtime game, though. Mississippi State played very well. That team is much better than preseason expectations. I think I took the I'm pretty sure I took the under in total wins for Mississippi State. I think it was like 3.5, and they've blown past that. They already have 4 wins. So shout out to Mississippi State. I mean, Jeff Lebby's kind of putting some stuff together. We're going to talk about some other SEC coaches that have not had the same experience this season and are on the opposite trajectory. But Vanderbilt and Mississippi State both have had a very, very good start to the season. And so that is my. Yeah, I think I'm just going to put that there. I'm going to leave that as my 4 overtimes as my performance of the week.
Love it.
Okay. Moving on. Okay, moving on to the next category. We have surprise of the week, Mason. Surprise of the week. What do you got?
I'm going to go with the most obvious one here, NFL wise, and that's going to be I'm going to give it to the Giants getting their first win
Shout out.
against the Chargers, giving them their first loss. I told you Jaxson Dart would rush for a touchdown. It's a good thing I took my own advice. Psych, I didn't, because he rushed for a touchdown in the first quarter. I'm pretty sure it was like plus 350. He actually rushed quite a bit. Like he did a bunch of scrambles and did a lot with his legs. Not too much on the passing side, but it doesn't matter. Got the win anyways. I saw like somebody posting where they were doing a ladder bet where they bet him to do 300 yards, and I was like, I could see that. And then we were like, it was like just barely 100, and I was like, oh, this is but he did a lot with his legs. I do want to bring and got the win. I do want to bring up a really tough part of this game, which is Malik Neighbors tearing his ACL. Such an amazing player, fun to watch. With an unfortunate injury. So wish the best for him in that situation. Just tough to hear anytime a player, especially ACL, never had that injury, but always looks pretty awful to have as a player.
Yep.
So that will be my surprise of the week, Jaxson Dart and the Giants getting their first win. Titans could never. Who said
that? Speaking of Jacksons who are surprise of the week, Jacksonville won today. That was a pretty good one. Tens. That was the only message Tens wanted us to give on the podcast today. Is that the Jags are back? So they won. So we're gonna be okay with that today. Shout out to the Jags, I guess.
And we guess
tied for first place, right, in the division.
He's pretty entertaining when he watches these games because he's the highs and lows. Like he's like, it's over, it's done. And
it's pretty serious. Yeah.
And then they come back and win. And I could only imagine his excitement. But
yeah, I'm very chill when I watch sports usually. So
definitely, especially when you watch the UT Mississippi State game.
Stressful one. Okay, so for my surprise of the week, I had a couple of quarterbacks out of the SEC who stepped up in some big-time games and had some really good weeks. First, Trinidad Chambliss from Ole Miss. He has been subbing in for Austin Simmons. All of a sudden, he had a very, very good week, led Ole Miss to the win, and he's proven that he's more than just a mobile kind of quarterback. He's a real serviceable quarterback. Be on the lookout for him because he has maybe won himself a starting job for the rest of the season. So it's a pretty big surprise. And the second one is Ty Simpson. Had a rough first game against Florida State. Had a very, very good game against Georgia, and it's been getting better every week. Ty Simpson went 24 over 38 for 276 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions against this Georgia team, led him to the win. So both those guys have been playing very good. Some surprises out of the SEC. Okay. Last category. Mason, fraud of the week.
I wonder who it could be. All right. So obviously, everybody's probably tired of hearing Titans talk. So I just want to be short, sweet, and to the point on this one. I'm not even going to talk about the fact that we got shut out by the Texans. I'm not going to talk about the part that we're 0-4, have not won a single game so far. I'm going to talk about the part where if you see any post-game interviews from players or coaches, this is probably the most defeated I've ever seen a whole organization this early into a season. There's throwing people under the bus. Cam Ward is basically calling the team fill in the blank. It's getting pretty rough. Just overall, the coaches, they just does not seem like they know how to speak into a microphone, because they're kind of throwing players under their bus or throwing themselves under. It's just a disaster. It doesn't seem like anybody's on the same page, and I've just never forget about the game. Just look at, if you have like time to just kill or waste away, just look up some of these interviews. They're pretty brutal. So yeah, the Titans. It's just a sad
Shout out.
situation. Shout out.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Pretty
Probably the
bad.
worst team in football by far.
Yep.
I'm not even sure why he's still the coach right now. I don't know what the point is. There's probably some stuff behind the scenes going on that makes it need to happen, but it's done. He's cooked.
Dunzo.
Callahan's done. It's over. Okay, my fraud of the week is on a similar vein. Two programs who, I mean, fraudulent's maybe not the word I would use, but they are some struggling programs. The first one is Arkansas.
Mm.
They were only like 4.5-point underdogs against this Notre Dame team. Someone in my life took Arkansas plus 5.5, and I followed him. That'll be tens. And Arkansas got crushed by Notre Dame. They just didn't even look like they belonged on the same field, and none of them really looked like they wanted to play very hard. This Arkansas team is really struggling, and they've lost their head coach. Sam Pittman was fired today, which has been expected. Everyone kind of knew it was going to happen. But the way that the game went down today, it just seemed inevitable. They lost to Memphis last week, and they lost to Notre Dame. They traveled to Neyland Stadium in 2 weeks. Fun fact. And so he is gone. And the other team is the Kentucky Wildcats. Got crushed by South Carolina today. Mark Stoops looks like he is on the way out as well. We'll see how long it takes. But two teams that really just kind of got embarrassed in the SEC, and looking at some interim coaches entering into the picture. So fun stuff.
Those are some good picks there.
Thank you, Mason. I appreciate that. You got anything else on your heart and mind?
Nope. I wish. No. I don't even want to talk about it. I was gonna get fired up on the Titans again, but let's just not, for the sake of the people.
The people, maybe.
The people.
Yeah, they probably all agree with you.
Probably.
Okay, well that is our recap pod for the week. Tens will be back with us next week as we move. Oh, we have one more thing to do. Best of the rest, our first loss of the season.
Yeah.
Butch Jones let me down once again. Could not score any points. This we decided it was going to go over. It did not go over. This team. This is our first dud we picked of the whole series so far. Again, leave it to Butch to just blow it. He's now 1-4. Shout out to him. He lost to Kennesaw State and ULM in consecutive weeks. So,
yikes!
I hope he loses every game the rest of the season.
So 3-1. It's pretty good.
It's still pretty good. We probably shouldn't have been so married to the over here, but you live by the over, you die by the over.
It's true.
And that happened. We'll have another one coming up for you this week, though. Things are starting to get serious. Memphis is undefeated. They are a fun team. We're starting to get a better picture of where that G5 playoff spot's going to go. So we're going to go hunting, trying to cover some of the big teams in there, see what we can do with that. We will see you next time. Bye.